Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today's video is going to be about a person named William, in other words, Bill Weisenburger, who was another side character in the Blonde Ghost Network. When I first began my research into this Blonde Ghost Network, which is essentially just the case of Edwin Wilson selling C4 to Libya, I didn't really think I was going to find a lot of information on some of the side characters like Bill Wiesenberger, Harry Ratstatter, Douglas Schlachter, Patrick Loomis, etc. But the more with just time and more digging, I found a lot of good information. But today's video is going to be about Bill Wiesenberger. And the screenshot that I'm showing you is from the documentary Frank Turple Confessions of a Dangerous Man. And you can see his name below, Bill Wiesenberger. So hopefully this will be a quicker video. I always say that, but sorry for any sound um, dissonance or whatnot, or just noise in the background. I got my dishwasher going, but regardless, Blonde Ghost Network bio. Today we're talking about Bill Wiesenberger. Um, All right, so William Bill Wiesenberger was an electronics specialist and engineer for the CIA. He was the branch chief of the CIA's Technical Services Division, who was in attendance at a 1976 meeting with American Electronic and SCI representatives relating to detonators. He was fired in 1977 by Stansfield Turner alongside Patrick Loomis, a CIA liaison officer previously stationed in Southeast Asia under corporate cover with Fairchild Industries for his involvement with Wilson. He, as in Wiesenberger, was involved in procuring, making, or supervising the creation of detonator equipment for Wilson and Turple for the Qaddafi regime from suppliers such as Scientific Communications Inc. of Dallas, Texas, and J.S. Brower and Associates of Pomona, California. He later lost his security clearance, but went back to work for a CIA contractor based in Dallas, Texas, called Scientific Communications Inc. So, some sources. This is from the New York Magazine, page 14, published 5 October 1981, titled "Report Says Fired CIA Agent Now Works for Top Security Firm." According to the text, 4 years ago, an electronics specialist named William Wiesenberger was fired from the agency for allegedly aiding a plan to sell explosives to Libya. An article being prepared for the November issue of The Progressive quotes a Federal Intelligence Agency source as saying Wiesenberger is now working for Scientific Communications Inc., a top security supplier of CIA hardware. So Wiesenberger was told by a lawyer for the Dallas-based firm that a William Wiesenberger has been employed as a quote-unquote paid consultant since 1979. Fundamentally, he is in engineering, said the lawyer. Investigators say the CIA's Wiesenberger was fired for his role in a scheme by ex-agent William Edwin Wilson and Frank Turple to sell weapons to Libyan strongman Muammar al-Gaddafi. A recent article in the New York Times Magazine claimed Wiesenberger, while with the CIA, had agreed to help make explosive hardware that Gaddafi was ordering from Wilson and Turple. Wiesenberger was also at a meeting at which Scientific Communications was asked to produce the hardware, the Times article said. A congressional committee is probing how much the CIA knew about Wilson and Turple's private dealing. The Progressive article will suggest that federal investigators wonder if Wiesenberger's apparent new job is a sign of CIA acquiescence in the Libyan scheme. So another article from the Progressive, and so this is published November 1981 on Company Business, The Progressive, November briefing, and I found this in the CIA reading room, which is open because of the Freedom of Information Act. So everything I'm saying is public information. So in April 1977, CIA Director Stansfield Turner fired William Wiesenberger, an electronics specialist and forever stripped of a security clearance, for helping former CIA agents Edwin Wilson and Frank Turple acquire explosive devices for Libya's Muammar Gaddafi. According to published reports, Weisenburger led Scientific Communications Inc. of Dallas, Texas, to believe he was conducting CIA business when he bought the equipment for Wilson Interpol, who resold it to Gaddafi at 1,000% markup. Wow. So let me see here. So intelligence sources were thus disturbed to learn that Wiesenberger now works for SEI, a company whose primary income derives from highly classified government contracts. Because Wiesenberger could hardly work at SEI without CIA acquiescence, the astonished investigators say his employment there suggests that Wilson Interpol's dealings with Gaddafi had high level approval, no matter what Admiral Turner did. Um, a telephone call to SEI confirmed Wiesenberger's employment, but he was out of town and unavailable for comment. So interesting. So they're basically saying that even though Wiesenberger was fired, by the fact that he went to go work for SEI, which is essentially just kind of like a privatized part of the CIA, you can kind of think about. They're just like a subcontractor that he couldn't really work at SCI without being able to work with the CIA. So it was kind of redundant. It was kind of, I hate to say meaningless that he got fired, but, it kind of begs the question of did the CIA know more than what they were claiming? And firing Wiesenberger was more of just like a figurative public gesture for the agency to save face. But that's just a possibility or a plausibility, whatever. So UPI Archives, September 12th, 1981. Federal investigators have sent to the Justice Department to yada yada. So the Bureau agents in investigative case summaries said Wilson and Turple are known to bribe U.S. government officials to enhance their businesses, as evidenced by the Paul Sear referral and the William Wiesenberger referral, the Post said. Referral means cases sent to the Justice Department for possible prosecution. Wiesenberger, the Post said, was a longtime CIA engineer who was fired in 1977 for allegedly assisting Wilson in constructing timers for the use with explosives in Libyan terrorist training programs. So another article by Ed Magnuson, published June 29th, 1981, titled Trafficking in Terror for Libya, Times Magazine. Sources, the source, yada yada. So let me go down here. So a firm called American Electronic Laboratories, Inc. of Fall Church, Virginia, which had long furnished the CIA with classified equipment, agreed to build prototypes for Gaddafi's order. The deal was set at a meeting in a Virginia bar attended by William Wiesenberger, then on, then on active duty with the CIA. So let's read that over. So the deal was set at a meeting in a Virginia bar attended by William Wiesenberger, then on active duty with the CIA, and another agent working undercover at American Electronic. Libya eventually placed an order for 300,000 timers, far more than needed to blow up any possible number of imagined Israeli mines. American Electronic balked at the size of this order. Wilson then recruited another CIA supplier, Scientific Communications Inc. of Dallas, to provide a second batch of prototypes. They were delivered to Wilson and Mulcahy at a motel near CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia, by Joe Halpane, the Dallas firm's president. So think about that. Wow. So the president of the company delivered the second batch of prototypes to Kevin Mulcahy at a motel in Langley, Virginia. Very interesting. And not far from CIA headquarters, right? So former CIA Director Stansfield Turner, who inherited the Wilson Turple problem in 1977, promptly fired the two agents, Loomis and Wiesenberger. So let me pause real quick. Okay, so let me see here. All right, so this is another article by Seymour Hersh, The Gaddafi Connection. This is a major source of information by the New York Times, published June 14th, 1981. So in June, when You see here, actually make sure my volume's good. So in June, when the 10 prototype timers were needed, another series of meetings was set up in a Virginia bar involving 3 of Wilson's employees, along with William Weisenburger, then an active duty CIA official, and 2 employees of American Electronic, one of whom was another CIA official, then working undercover. Weisenburger and the American Electronic men agreed to work privately over the weekend to produce 10 prototype timing devices at an inflated cost of $15,000 each, 10 times the actual cost. So let me see here. So by the time it was clear that the senior officers of American Electronic could not be persuaded to build 300,000 timers without verifying the order with the CIA, there was another scramble. This time to find a manufacturer who could begin delivering the timers within 45 days. Another Friday meeting in a Virginia bar was arranged with Mulcahy and representatives from longtime CIA supplier Scientific Communications Inc. of Dallas. Turple had found the company, whose president, Joe L. Halpane, later agreed to manufacture 500 prototype timers within 30 days. At the Friday night meeting was William Weisenburger, a then branch chief in the CIA's Technical Services Division, the group responsible for producing the special weapons and safety devices that have been popularized by the James Bond movies. Wow, so that's an interesting article there. All right, so let me go here. This is another one. This is an article by Peter Maas called Selling Out, How an Ex-CIA Agent Made Millions Working for Gaddafi. He writes, when we arrived at the CIA Langley headquarters, Turner demanded to know who Wilson's contacts were. So let me see here. To his chagrin, just about everybody, it appeared, except him, knew about them. One was William Weisenburger, whose job was to acquire exotic equipment for the agency and who has supplied Wilson with 10 miniature detonators of the most advanced design. So there's that. So there's 10 detonators there. And these are the 10 prototypes. So let me go back up here. In June, when the 10 prototype timers were needed, another series of meeting in Virginia bar, yada yada. So William Weisenberger was working with American Electric and to build like the first prototype timers, it looks like. So I think that that's what happened right there. So a firm called American Electronic Laboratories, which had long furnished the CIA with classified equipment, agreed to build prototypes for the Gaddafi order. The deal was set at a meeting in a Virginia bar attended by Weisenberger, yada yada. So, yeah, then on active duty, Libya eventually placed, balked at the size, Williams, prototype. So there was essentially 2 meetings about the timers, and both, I guess, at this bar or whatnot. So in June, when the 10 prototype timers were needed, another series of meetings was set up, and this is when they bring in SCI. Gotcha. Okay. So, anyways, another quote is by Murray Wass of The Nation in 1981, in which it says Patry Loomis and William Weisenberger helped Wilson and Turple with their Libyan operations, so nothing too much crazy there. Some other sources are from here. So let me go here. So first and foremost, make sure my volume's good. So actually, here's the open corporate information for Scientific Communications Inc. and had their company number, so it's forfeited its existence. It looks like it was up until 1998, in which it stopped doing business because of tax forfeiture, but it was registered in 1976. So it's kind of interesting. So not too much information, but they were based out of Garland, Texas. Um, so that's kind of interesting there. And another thing that I found, and I'm trying to be respectful, I'm not sure if this is him, but let me look this up real quick. This is another thing I found. This is an obituary for a William Weisenburger, whom could be the guy we're talking about. And the reason why I say that is because he was laid to rest at a Woodward Funeral Home in Louisa, Virginia. So I'm assuming, not crazy far, most likely from the DC area, which a lot of these events happen. So William David Wiesenberger, if this is correct, 79 years old, passed away on Tuesday, July 22nd in 2014. So he is preceded in death by his wife, Alice Maud Wiesenberger, and is survived by two sons, Dr. William D. Wiesenberger Jr. and wife Teresa Triangle, Virginia, and Randall Wiesenberger and wife Catherine of Greenwich, Connecticut, and four grandchildren. I won't read their names. But yeah, so interesting. So a funeral was held at 11 a.m. on Saturday, July 26th, with interment to follow in St. Jude's Catholic Church Cemetery. So, in lieu of flowers, memorial donations may be made to Shriners Children's Hospital. So, not saying that's him, but it's just very interesting. It could be. The ages seem to match up to the events and everything like that. Virginia possibly could be him, right? So these are just some of the articles I referenced already, in which I kind of they talked about Wiesenberger. Yep. So I already kind of referenced some of these, so I won't read those again. Kind of just preview where I got them from. So here you go. Here. Yep. So Wiesenberger's reference to some of these articles. So it's very interesting. So yeah, so Stansfield Turner, when he replaced George Bush as director of the CIA, he wasn't a big fan of like clandestine operations and stuff like that. He thought they were just too like, cowboy, too maverick and everything. So he came in and when he realized that like, Edwin Wilson, I believe by like 1977 was kind of getting public notoriety in like the Washington Post or whatnot, allegedly for being attached to the assassination of a Chilean dissident named Orlando Letelier, um, who was actually killed by an American working for the Chilean intelligence service, DINA, I believe, under Augusto Pinochet. So that was a crazy story. And I want to say they actually paid homage to that whole situation in the movie Scarface with Al Pacino. So, the scene where Al Pacino's in the car and there's like the crazy dude about to blow up the car. There's like a kid about to get killed. So Al Pacino, Tony Montana just shoots the dude in the head and just to prevent him from doing that. I want to say that in part paid homage to like the assassination of Orlando Letelier. And since it's an Oliver Stone movie, and we know how Oliver Stone just gets in the weed of all the CIA stuff, I would not be surprised. But regardless, um, but anyway, switch that up. So this is that article talks about how even though Wiesenberger got fired, by Stansfield Turner. He ended up going to work for like a CIA contractor and basically the people there needed probably some level of clearances. Like even if you're even like subcontractors, even if you're in a private business and you're a subcontractor working for the government may require you to have security clearances and top security clearances and stuff like that too. So it's just like you know, in other words, even a person like Stansfield Turner or George Bush or William Colby or whomever, sometimes even though they're the director of Central Intelligence, it was such a powerful compartmentalized agency, that it was kind of hard to control. So like even if a person got fired, the director, he has other things to worry about. So like he may not. So the person who got fired, sure, they might get fired 5 years down the road or something. Officially speaking, wink, wink, or something. So it's just like it's this weird kind of game that's played between upper management and like all the various division and directorate chiefs and stuff like that. At least in the 1970s and 80s, during like the church commission era and all that type of stuff, like before the Towers Commission and all this, there was a lot more of a Wild West mentality, it seemed, in the CIA. So let me see here. So this is another article talks about that talks about how Wiesenberger was fired for helping do the 10 initial prototypes with John Henry Harper of American Electronic. So this is what went down, right? So Edwin Wilson, basically through Frank Turpel's contacts, tries to get in bed with the Libyans. Some say that Wilson was acting rogue without CIA oversight. However, there's conflicting accounts in which Wilson, with Kevin Mulcahy, Harry Rastatter, um, actually met with the assistant deputy director of operations of the CIA at the time, Thomas Shackley, i.e., the Blonde Ghost, at his house, in which Wilson pitched the idea for his Libyan idea, right? His Libyan project, right? Theodore Shackley allegedly told Wilson and Mulcahy to go through the front door via the CIA's communication office or whatever, so they can get like thumbs up for the operation or something of that nature, right? Um, the whole goal, according to Shackley, once questioned by authorities later on, was that the impetus of allowing Wilson, or at least hearing him out for his Libya project, was for the hopeful capture of Carlos the Jackal, the renowned international terrorist, but also to embed himself into the Libyan apparatus to understand if they were making weapons of mass destruction like nuclear weapons, etc. Because Libya was, at the time, one of the biggest sponsors of state terrorism in the world and everything at the time, right? So, so Shackley was kind of covering his tracks, but it seems that Wilson never got official thumbs up from the CIA to really do this as a CIA operation, right? And because Wilson in his career, but even though he was originally a part of the CIA in the Office of Security, when he got promoted to the clandestine service, he actually transitioned from an employee to contractor status because the CIA likes to have plausible deniability during some of their more dangerous deep cover operations and stuff, right? So in other words, if you get caught, you're basically just caught as your business cover or whatever, rather than being an official agency asset, even though you are. Um, so there was a lot of ambiguity about whether or not Wilson had thumbs up from the CIA or not, right? The CIA seems to kind of have threw him under the bus because he basically spent 20, 30, almost, he spent a long time in prison, 1984 to like 2004 or something crazy. So he spent a long time in jail, like 20 years in jail. Um, and on a 52-year sentence or something crazy. Like he was gonna die in jail, something wild like that. Um, so with that being said, uh, it's just all just interesting. It's like there's a lot of like he said, she said type stuff going on in this whole case. Um, so yeah, so let me go here. But anyways, so I think to finish up what I was saying was eventually they make contact with the Libyans, and the Libyans want some demonstrations done, right? So Wilson, they can get guns, they can get equipment and stuff like that, but what the Libyans really want are bombs. They want C4. So Wilson, Turple, Mulcahy, they reach out to John Henry Harper, of American Electrics or Electronics in Fall Church, Virginia, or something, to build 10 detonators. But he won't build more unless he gets confirmation that they have true CIA approval. He seems to have negated his that because there's proof that he went to Libya anyway to help train, excuse me, help train the Libyans. So either he actually got CIA approval that's never been documented or shown. I want to say that Edwin Wilson's lawyer, when Wilson was eventually released from prison, may have more evidence showing that there was more CIA thumbs up or slow thumbs up approval about this operation. But regardless, because John Henry Harper, even whether he's going to do it or not, there's no way he can actually fulfill a massive order of 300,000 detonators that the Libyans want. So then they bring in Scientific Communications Inc., another CIA contractor, led by, I think, Joe Halpane or John Halpane. Um, and doing the consultation or kind of overview of both Harper and SCI is this Wiesenberger guy, because he's the director of like the technical services. And he's like a skilled in like basically making explosives and gadgets and stuff like that. So he was kind of like the CIA's kind of like technical observer of what was going on, but he eventually gets fired by Stanley Turner, but he ends up going to work for one of those contractors and everything. So it seems very interesting. It almost seems like the CIA was really covering their tracks, really, to the best of their abilities, while trying not to necessarily throw like their ex members under the bus because they could still be useful assets. So it's very interesting because you got to think about it, like if William Wiesenberger, so put it this way, why, if Stansfield Turner was such a moral character, why didn't he actually try to press charges against Wiesenberger and Patrick Loomis for what they were doing? So, in other words, it's okay that they were doing things that were nefarious, but just don't do it within the agency, but it's okay if they do it elsewhere. So there seems to even be some weird ambiguity even in Stansfield Turner's like decision. It seems more of, I'm trying to change the culture, clean up house, I'm the new guy, I'm gonna get rid of some bad apples or something like that. However, I don't really necessarily disagree with what they did. I just disagree with how they did it 100%. And I won't try to lobby for criminal charges against them. I just kind of want them away to send a message to people that we got to kind of clean up this cowboy atmosphere, this situation, right? However, if they're able to still provide, good, tangible, palpable intelligence, human intelligence to us or something, then sure, we'll take it, but it's going to be through more distance channels, through them being contractors or subcontractors, etc. So it's just the whole game of just like human nature, management, philosophy, etc. that seemed at play here. Um, so so yeah, that's really kind of it. I mean, this is actually one of the real shorter ones. Actually, um, so I'm actually just kind of gonna end it right there. Actually, all right, thank you. All right, bye.